we are going to revise SA 600 using the work of another auditor. When auditor delegate the work to assistants या use the work performed by other auditors या expert, he will continue to be responsible for forming and expressing an opinion on financial information. However, he will be entitled to rely on the work performed by the other auditor provided he exercise adequate skill or care and not aware of any reasons to believe that he should not have so relied. ठीक है, ऐसे 600 दो चीज़ में डील नहीं करता प्रीडिसेसर के केस में, मतलब ऑडिटर रिलेशनशिप विद प्रीडिसेसर ऑडिटर और वे या टू या मोर ऑडिटर अपॉइंटेड एज जॉइंट ऑडिटर. ठीक है, मतलब प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर क्या होता है और अदर ऑडिटर कौन होता है. प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर मतलब ऑडिटर विद द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी फॉर रिपोर्टिंग ऑन फाइनेंशियल इन्फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द एंटिटी when the financial auditor with the responsibility for reporting on financial information of the entity when financial information include the financial information of one or more component audited by another auditor. Other auditor कौन होता है. Auditor other than principal auditor with the responsibility for reporting on financial information of the component audited by including इनको बोलता है audited by component auditor which is included in the financial information of the principal auditor. component branch subsidiary associate joint venture यही सब होता है. ठीक है, ऐसे 600 deals with standards to be applied in situation where the principal uses the work of other auditor with respect to financial information of one or more component including the financial information of the entity. ऐसे 600 applied in the situation where the principal auditor uses the work of other auditor and other auditor with respect to financial information of one or more component audited by other auditor. प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर क्या हो, मतलब प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर व्हाट बोलता है. द ऑडिटर शुड कंसिडर द फॉलोइंग बिफोर एक्सेप्टिंग द एंगेजमेंट. कर्म को देखेगा प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर जो है ना, ये चीज़ को देखेगा बिफोर एक्सेप्टिंग द एंगेजमेंट. क्या क्या है वो चीज़, वो आज हम बताते हैं आपको. कर्म प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर डिग्री ऑफ नॉलेज कैसे नॉलेज बोलता है. प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर डिग्री ऑफ नॉलेज रिगार्डिंग द बिजनेस ऑफ द कंपोनेंट. प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर डिग्री ऑफ नॉलेज रिगार्डिंग द बिजनेस ऑफ द कंपोनेंट ऑडिटेड बाय कंपोनेंट ऑडिटर के आर से. रिस्क ऑफ मेटल मिस स्टेटमेंट इन द फाइनेंशियल इन्फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द कंपोनेंट ऑडिटेड बाय अदर ऑडिटर के आर ए. परफॉर्मेंस ऑफ एडिशनल प्रोसीजर एज सेट आउट इन ऐसे रिगार्डिंग द कंपोनेंट audited by other auditor resulting in principal auditor having significant participation. बोलता है प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर मतलब परफॉर्मेंस ऑफ एडिशनल प्रोसीजर एज सेट आउट इन ऐसे रिगार्डिंग द कंपोनेंट ऑडिटेड बाय द ऑडिटर रिजल्टिंग इन प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर हैविंग significant participation. बोलता है materiality of the portion of financial information of the component with the principal auditor audit. materiality of the portion of financial information with the principal auditor's audit. प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर प्रोसीजर. प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर का प्रोसीजर क्या होता है, मतलब प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर हैव राइट टू विजिट एंड एग्जामिन द बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट ऑफ द कंपोनेंट. प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर टू कंसीडर द प्रोफेशनल कॉम्पिटेंस ऑफ अदर ऑडिटर. प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर कंसीडर सिग्निफिकेंट फाइंडिंग ऑफ अदर ऑडिटर. प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर टू रिव्यू द रिटन समरी ऑफ अदर ऑडिटर. प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर टू बी बोलता प्रोसीजर टू बी परफॉर्म बाय प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर. बोलता है व्हेन अदर ऑडिटर इज नॉट द प्रोफेशनली क्वालिफाइड ऑडिटर अपना प्रिंसिपल. हाँ, what auditor should consider the following before accepting his work as principal auditor. Principal auditor degree of knowledge regarding the business of the component. प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर डिग्री ऑफ नॉलेज रिगार्डिंग द बिजनेस ऑफ द कंपोनेंट के आर से तुम्हारा रिस्क ऑफ मेटल मिस स्टेटमेंट इन द फाइनेंशियल इन्फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द कंपोनेंट के आर ए से होगा अपना एडिशनल प्रोसीजर. दूसरा परफॉर्मेंस ऑफ एडिशनल प्रोसीजर एसेट और ऐसे रिगार्डिंग द कंपोनेंट ऑडिटेड बाय अदर ऑडिटर resulting in principal auditor having significant participation in materiality of the portion of financial statement audited by other auditors. Principal auditor has right to visit and examine the books of account of the component. Principal auditor to consider the professional competence of other auditor. Procedure to be performed when using the work of other auditor. Principal auditor बोलता procedure to be performed by principal auditor while using the work of other auditor. बोलता advise the other auditor regarding the component. बोलता है advise the other auditor regarding the use of his work and report regarding the use of his work and report regarding the use of his work and report and make sufficient arrangement for coordination at planning stage of the audit. बोलता है advise the other auditor regarding the use of his work and report, and make sufficient arrangement for coordination at the planning or stage. बोलता है principal auditor would inform other auditors such as matter SIT मतलब area requiring special consideration, procedure for identification intercomponent transactions, or timetable for completion of audit. Principal auditor advise other auditor. Principal auditor advise other auditor of the significant accounting, auditing, and reporting requirement, and obtain representation as to compliance with them, and obtain written representation as to compliance. Advise other auditor of the significant accounting, auditing, and reporting requirement, and obtain representation as to compliance with them. Principal auditor to review the written summary of other auditors procedure. Principal auditor to review the written summary of other auditor procedure. Principal auditor to review the written summary of other auditors procedures. Principal auditor may wish to visit the other auditor. Principal auditor may wish to visit the other auditor. Nature, time, and extent of procedure depend upon the circumstance of materiality. Nature, time, and extent of procedure depend upon the knowledge of the principal auditor competence. Principal auditor knowledge of the principal auditor's knowledge of the professional competence and other auditor. This knowledge may be enhanced by review of previous work. This knowledge may be enhanced from the review of previous work of other auditor. ये क्वेश्चन यदि आएगा एग्जाम में तो ऐसे आएगा, प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर टू रिव्यू द रिटन समरी ऑफ ऑडिटर्स प्रोसीजर. Principal auditor may wish to visit the other auditor. Nature, time, and extent of procedure depend upon the circumstance of engagement and materiality. Expect nature, time, and extent of procedure. Nature, time, and depend upon the engagement or materiality. Expect nature, time, and extent of the procedure depend upon the principal auditor degree of knowledge and professional competence. उसका knowledge this knowledge may be enhanced by reviewing the work of previous auditor. Work performed. बोलता है this knowledge may be enhanced from the review of previous work of other auditor. बोलता है principal auditor should consider the significant finding of other auditor. Principal auditor should consider the significant finding of other auditor. Significant finding मतलब principal auditor may consider it appropriate to discuss with other auditor and management of the component on the audit findings, other matter affecting the financial information of the component. He may also decide to discuss the supplementary information procedure when auditor is not professionally qualified. बोलता है circumstance auditor it may happen with the reasons for professionally qualified. When other auditor is not professionally qualified auditor, then where the component बोलता है in circumstance other auditor may happen to be the other than professionally qualified auditor. बोलता है where the professional component is situated in foreign country. बोलता है applicable law permit the other persons other than professionally qualified auditor to audit the financial statement of such component. Principal auditor to document the working paper. Principal auditor document in his working paper the component whose financial information audited by. बोलता principal auditor is required to document in his working paper. मतलब principal auditor अपना डॉक्यूमेंट में डॉक्यूमेंट करेगा अपने वर्किंग पेपर में that component whose financial information audited by other auditor. Principal auditor will also document the procedure performed and the conclusions reached. बोलता है कोऑर्डिनेशन करेगा मतलब कोऑर्डिनेशन बिटवीन द प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर एंड अदर कोऑर्डिनेशन बिटवीन द ऑडिटर प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर्स. However, principal auditor need not to document the reasons for limiting the procedure in the circumstances where the sufficient audit evidence previously obtained that acceptable quality of policy procedure are complied with the conduct of other audit practices. बोलता है coordination between the auditor. बोलता है there should be sufficient liaison between the principal auditor and the other auditor. There should be sufficient liaison between the principal auditor and the other auditor होना चाहिए. For this बोलता है principal auditor may find it necessary to issue written communication to other auditor. बोलता है there should be sufficient liaison between the principal auditor and the other auditor. Principal auditor may find it necessary to issue written summary to the other auditor. बोलता है तुम्हारा sufficient liaison. बोलता है there should be sufficient liaison between the principal auditor and the other auditor. Other auditor should coordinate the principal auditor. उसका principal auditor advise the other auditor. Principal auditor should advise the other auditor of the any matter having important bearing on the work of other auditor. Principal auditor may require other auditor to answer detailed questionnaire, and other auditors should respond. Other auditors should respond to questionnaire on timely basis. Principal auditor may require other auditor to answer detailed questionnaire on timely basis. बोलता है principal auditor may require other auditor to answer detailed questionnaire or other auditor should respond to such questionnaire on timely basis. उसके बाद अपना रिपोर्टिंग वाला पार्ट आ जाता है. रिपोर्टिंग वाला पार्ट में प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर शुड एक्सप्रेस क्वालिफाइड ओपिनियन डिस्क्लेमर ओपिनियन इन केस ऑफ लिमिटेशन ऑन द स्कोप ऑफ ऑडिट. अच्छा, बोलता है प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर टू एक्सप्रेस क्वालिफाइड और डिस्क्लेमर ऑफ ओपिनियन. प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर इज रिक्वायर्ड टू एक्सप्रेस क्वालिफाइड और डिस्क्लेमर ऑफ ओपिनियन इन केस ऑफ limitations of a scope. Limitation of a scope in the audit. Limitation of a scope in the audit. The principal auditor to express qualified or disclaimer of opinion in case of limitation of a scope in the audit. In case of auditors, in case of auditors, in case of other auditor issue modified opinion. बोलता है when the principal auditor express qualified or disclaimer of opinion इन केस ऑफ लिमिटेशन ऑफ द स्कोप. अच्छा, मतलब लिमिटेशन ऑफ द स्कोप रहेगा तो क्वालिफाइड और डिस्क्लेमर ऑफ ओपिनियन एक्सप्रेस करेगा व्हेन प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर कंक्लूड बेस्ड ऑन हिज वर्क प्रोसीजर दैट द वर्क ऑफ अदर ऑडिटर कैन नॉट बी यूज्ड या प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर कैन नॉट बी हैज नॉट बीन एबल टू परफॉर्म सफिशिएंट प्रोसीजर रिगार्डिंग द फाइनेंशियल इंफॉर्मेशन कंपोनेंट ऑडिटेड बाय अदर ऑडिटर. प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर क्वालिफाइड और डिस्क्लेमर ओपिनियन बोलता है देयर इज लिमिटेशन ऑन द स्कोप ऑफ ऑडिट. अच्छा, क्वालिफाइड और डिस्क्लेमर ओपिनियन इशू करेगा. बोलता है इफ अदर ऑडिटर इशू मॉडिफाइड इन सर्कमस्टांस इफ द अदर ऑडिटर इशू द इंटेंट टू इशू मॉडिफाइड या मॉडिफाइड ऑडिटर्स रिपोर्ट. प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर शुड कंसीडर वेदर द सब्जेक्ट ऑफ मॉडिफिकेशन ऑफ सच नेचर एंड सिग्निफिकेंस इन रिलेशन फाइनेंशियल इंफॉर्मेशन इन द एंटिटी एंड इट रिक्वायर मॉडिफिकेशन. द प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर, अच्छा, प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर अपने रिपोर्ट में उसको देखा कि मेरा रिपोर्ट को मॉडिफाई करना ज़रूरी है क्या, ऐसा वो दिखेगा. ठीक है. डिवीजन ऑफ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर वुड नॉट बी रिस्पॉन्सिबल इन रिस्पेक्ट ऑफ वर्क इंटरेस्टेड टू अदर ऑडिटर. प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर वुड नॉट बी रिस्पॉन्सिबल इन रिस्पेक्ट ऑफ वर्क इंटरेस्टेड टू अदर ऑडिटर एक्सेप्ट इन द सर्कमस्टांस which should have eroded suspicions about the reliability of work performed by other auditor. Principal auditor would not responsible in respect of work entrusted to other auditor except in the circumstance which would have eroded suspicions about the reliability of work performed by other auditor. Principal auditor would not be responsible in respect of work entrusted to other auditor except in the circumstance which have eroded suspicions about the reliability of work performed by other auditor. When principal auditor is to base his opinion on the financial information of the entity as a whole, relying on the statement or report of other auditor. His report should state clearly the division of responsibility of financial information of the entity, indicating the extent to which financial information of the component audited by other auditor. When principal auditor has to base his opinion on the financial information of the entity as a whole, relying upon the statement or report of other auditor, his report should state clearly the division of responsibility of financial information of the entity by indicating the extent to which financial information of the component audited by other auditor have been included in the financial information of the entity. However, if principal auditor notice any material departure, the same should be brought to the knowledge of other auditor. बोलता है division of responsibility. Principal auditor would not be responsible in respect of work entrusted to other auditor except in the circumstance which should erode his suspicions about the reliability of work performed by other auditor. मतलब उसका काम ही अच्छा नहीं था तो भाई जो दोषी पाया जाएगा. When principal auditor has to base his opinion on the financial information of the entity as a whole, relying upon the statement and report of other auditor. Relying upon the statement and report of auditor, his report should state clearly the division of the responsibility of financial information. His report should state clearly the division of responsibility of financial information of the entity by indicating the extent to which financial information of the component audited by other auditor have been included in the financial information of the entity. His report should clearly state the division of the responsibility of financial information of the entity by indicating the extent to which financial information of the component audited by other auditor have been included in the financial information of the entity. However, if principal auditor notice any material discrepancy, the same should be brought to the attention and knowledge of the other auditor. That's